Hello everyone and welcome to Hockey Hub. I'm Brennan and today we are going to be discussing the hot start of the Montreal Canadiens. Now, the Montreal Canadiens had a 6-game road trip to start the year and they went 4-0-2 on the road, picking up a possible 10 out of 12 points and are tied for the lead of the Canadian division. Montreal's had a really hot start to the year, and as a Montreal fan I'm pretty excited about this team. The thing I like about this team is the overall depth in the lineup. All three lines can score, all three defensive pairings are good, and they've got some great depth in the net with Carey Price and Jake Allen. All things are kind of firing for Montreal right now on all cylinders, and although I don't expect this to keep up throughout the entire year, I am hopeful that Montreal is going to be able to make the playoffs and maybe even finish top 3 in the division. They certainly look like one of the better teams in the NHL right now, and obviously there's a lot of discussion about that, but we're going to get into some of the reasons why they've had such a great start. Now, starting off with the forward core, I think Tyler Toffoli and Nick Suzuki have been the big two pieces to talk about here. Tyler Toffoli was recently named first star of the week for the NHL, and it's easy to see why. Putting up 5 goals and 3 assists in the span of a week was really impressive. So Toffoli had a really hot start with the Montreal Canadiens, especially in that Vancouver series. Getting a hat trick and then a 2-goal game on top of that, and also piling up some assists there. Toffoli's been sensational for Montreal. He's also been good on the penalty kill as well, getting a lot of shorthanded goals, and he's an all-around effective player for the Montreal Canadiens. But speaking of all-around effective players, Nick Suzuki's already playing like a young star. He's got a point in every single Montreal game this year, and he's at point per game with 2 goals and 4 assists for a grand total of 6 points in 6 games. Suzuki is a 200-foot player, and there is some comparables to a young Patrice Bergeron. I think Suzuki is Montreal's most valuable piece, and I think he is going to be expected to be that top-line center for Montreal for years to come. A true great two-way pivot that you can use in every situation, power play, penalty kill. And Suzuki does have some explosive offensive upside as well, and we've seen that this year. He's got a good shot, and he's also got good hands as well. Combine that with the foot speed of him and his line mates in Josh Anderson and Jonathan Drouin, who've also had good starts. Anderson has been everything the Montreal Canadiens could have expected, putting up 3 goals in 6 games so far and being a true physical presence out there. He's yet to drop the gloves, but that being said, he still makes his presence known, he still finishes his checks, and even Jonathan Drouin has looked a lot more engaged this year, being at point per game as well. Drouin most recently just got his first goal, but that's not for a lack of chances, and the goal he scored was pretty nice on Vancouver Canucks goaltender Braden Holtby. So that being said, Montreal's forward core is, really doing well. Even their fourth line, Jake Evans, has been a nice little story to watch as a Montreal fan. He's played really solid in a diminished role, putting up a pair of goals. Yoel Armia had himself a big night before he was concussed by Tyler Myers. And then looking at the top line, Gallagher's doing his thing, Tatar's having a good year as well, and Danault continues his very strong two-way game. Philip Danault is constantly a force in the face-off circle and is one of the more underrated two-way centers in the NHL. So Montreal's forward core surprisingly is given a lot of scoring so far, and that can be attributed to Vancouver's defense not playing that well, since Montreal has played half their games against Vancouver. But I think Montreal's forward core is just really clicking right now. There's a lot of depth here, and although there isn't a lot of high-end star power, you can make an argument that a guy like Nick Suzuki could end up being that for Montreal. But they've just got a lot of solid top 6 forwards there that can produce, and they've got 4 lines, and each and every one of those lines have actually got 6 points combined or more on the season so far. So Montreal's really had a good start when it comes to their offense, and you can see that with their forward core. No one's really underperforming right now, and although I do expect slumps to come soon, it's been a great start for all the forwards. But then moving into the defensive side of things, Montreal's blue line has actually looked pretty strong. They have been giving up a lot of goals, but I think that can be attributed to a poor penalty kill, which has kind of been the problem with Montreal so far this season. But their actual blue line itself has looked really good. Joel Edmondson has fit in seamlessly with the Montreal Canadiens, having a very good plus-minus and already picking up a couple of points. He even stuck up for his new teammate, Yoel Armia, and ended up fighting Tyler Myers in the final game against Vancouver of that 3-game set. So I think Edmondson has really endeared himself to his teammates and fans, and I think that he's a very good piece for Montreal. Sherratt has been, steady as always, and I think he's playing exactly how everyone expected. Weber is the man mountain back there, and he's been a physical presence, putting up some offense. Then even Brett Kulak's had a solid year, mentoring the young potential star defender in Alexander Romanov, who's had a good start to the year as well. Romanov already has himself a couple of points, and he's got a strong game at both ends of the ice and is a very confident defender out there. But the defenseman to really talk about here is Jeff Petrie. As the time that I'm filming this video, Petrie currently leads the NHL in points by a defenseman, but that could end up changing, depending on when this video gets scheduled. But either way, Petrie's got 7 points in 6 games, and he's been fantastic for Montreal at both ends of the ice. He's got a very good plus-minus right now. He's a physical presence as well. He is a big defender after all. He is 6'4", and most of Montreal's defensemen are pretty big. So Petrie's kind of been the driving force for this defense, and you can really tell he's such a fantastic dynamic defenseman, smooth skater, good hands, and an accurate shot. So Petrie's been a really key piece for the Montreal Canadiens, and I would argue probably their best overall player to start the year. But then moving into the goaltending. Now, the goaltending numbers haven't been as good as maybe some would expect, especially when you look at the start. Carey Price's save percentage is currently below 900, but I think that's just because he's had a couple of rough games. He was really great against Edmonton, and he had a strong bounce-back game against Vancouver on Saturday. The Toronto game that he started the year, his save percentage wasn't pretty, but I don't think he played bad. His real rough game that really knocked down his numbers was that first Vancouver game, where he ended up giving up 5 goals on not a lot of shots. So Carey Price hasn't been fantastic to start the year, and I think, once he gets hot, that could make this Montreal Canadiens team a lot more dangerous, since Price isn't even at his best right now. Jake Allen has been a really good backup for the Montreal Canadiens, though, winning both of his games so far and putting up a .907 save percentage. He was sensational against Edmonton. Was a big part of the reason why Montreal was able to shut down Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. His numbers against Vancouver weren't pretty, but I think, a lot of that was just attributed to nice goals like the Brandon Sutter goal, which was kind of a highlight reel goal. So that being said, I think Allen has been a huge piece for the Montreal Canadiens, and I think Montreal's tandem is looking really good so far. They've been able to get points, obviously, no losses in regulation yet, and although that's definitely going to change soon, there is a lot to be excited about here for this start for the Montreal Canadiens. I really do think that the new additions have been key to Montreal's hot start. You look at Tyler Toffoli, he leads the team in points right now and goals, so he's been huge. Anderson's been a physical presence that's obviously put up some goals as well. Edmondson's been a very solid presence back in the blue line, and so is Alexander Romanov. And Allen has been able to give Montreal a couple of wins by a backup goalie, something they haven't had in seemingly a couple of years now. So Allen is the first true backup goalie that Montreal's had in a long time, and he's already proving why Marc Bergevin decided to go out and trade for him, even though he has that big contract. So Montreal's team is kind of firing on all cylinders right now, and like I said, I think these new additions are a big part of that. These are real key guys that can be slotted into the lineup and fit perfectly in Montreal's system. Even Corey Perry in his first game ended up getting a goal, and actually had a really strong game. So Marc Bergevin is probably proud of his offseason work right now, as the team is clicking really well, and all of his off-season additions are looking like a win right now. It's still very early in the season. Montreal still has 50 games to play, so this could all end up crashing and burning on them, but only time's going to tell. They're off to a really good start, and now that they finally get a chance to go home, if they can have a good homestand, Montreal might be able to put themselves in a comfortable position. I have found recently that Montreal is a better team on the road, so I'm not overly excited about them, returning to the Bell Center, as they've kind of struggled at home a lot. But they do have a big opportunity, and hopefully they're going to be able to keep up this momentum and keep this hot start going. They don't play until Thursday, so they do have a little bit of time off between the Vancouver set of games and the Calgary set of games, so that's going to keep them well rested, and I think Claude Julien is key on that as well when it comes to keeping his players rested. He's balancing these 4 lines, no particular players logging too much ice time, and that keeps the legs fresh and it keeps the guys going. So I think Claude Julien deserves a lot of credit for this start as well, as he's deployed this team really well. But yeah, so I just wanted to make a video on the hot start of the Montreal Canadiens. They're getting a lot of attention right now, obviously being in Canada, Sportsnet, TSN talking about their hot start, and other teams are having really good starts as well, like the Toronto Maple Leafs, but I just want to talk about Montreal today because I think it's interesting. They haven't lost a game in regulation yet, and I don't think that they were a team that people expected to get off to this great start. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can keep it up, and personally, I'm pretty excited for this team myself as a Montreal fan. But that does it for today's video. I appreciate you guys watching till the end. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys later. Bye for now.